Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer, another chapter in the Amico story. All right, and let me tell you, first shout out to the No Swear Gamer who put out this video, who made me aware of this by his video. But I'm going to give you the business perspective. I'll put a link down below to his channel. I'm going to give you my business perspective, right? I'm not an expert in law, but this is my field of expertise. Why would you do this? Well, get ready. It's for raising money. It's for raising money. Rinse and repeat. My mom used to say, when it comes to money, think the worst and you'll be correct. This is true, right? This is my area of expertise. If I had to tell you to do something with a company in this state, I would have done it much earlier. I wouldn't have done it like this, right? I would have taken the different steps, right? So I'll give the Intellivision crew here some free consulting, right? The problem with this company and what they're trying to do here is that you still have names attached to the company. They're quite toxic. It's John Alvarado who's heading this project up, but he's the same man who showed you the box of a game system that never came out. A game system that raised millions and millions of dollars, 17, whatever the heck it was, that were mismanaged, right? And people got nothing. People were scammed for pre-orders. They feel they got scammed, right? They feel they got scammed for games, boxes that I still have that I'm staring at over here because I'm a degenerate. And let's face it, guys, you know, and I know, and everybody else knows that I'm such a game hoarder that I'm going to buy these games. If they put out Finnegan Fox on Steam, that's okay. I'll probably play it there. But if they put it out on Nintendo and I have a box that I can put next to this other box, of course I'm getting it. Any game hoarder would, right? But I'll do it so you guys don't have to do it, right? But getting back to the point here, the reason you change brands is so you can raise money again. If you have any success whatsoever with any of these games, it'll give you pause to ask for investments from people. Now, what I would have done, John, pay attention, is I would have offshored the brand, right? Because you can use different tools in order to show who or not show who the owners are, right? You could have a corporation outside the country that's owned by corporations inside this country, right? You could have an anonymous corporation. Latin America is famous for this, for SACVs, which means, that they're private entities where the owners are not disclosed, in which capital varies, right? There's different owners. They come in and out. You can figure out why they're very popular south of the border, especially in Mexico, where they sell products that are, not regulated by the pharmaceutical companies, right? So they're very, they're investment products where you can hide the identity of who the owners are eventually, and you can raise money with that. So if you have a few games with this company, they're going to knock on your door, and let's say that Amico saved your life, that you get emotional for Amico games. Well, here you go. You can buy them now, and now you can invest in this new venture. Isn't that something? Huh? See how this works? Oh, I love business, right? Whenever somebody tells me something's impossible in business, I tell them, you don't know business. Yeah, when somebody tells me I know everything about business, I know they're full of crap because I don't know everything about business, right? And I have degrees in this crap. And there's always surprises along the way. However, being my area of expertise, I would tell you that this is the reason you do this. If you start a new company, right, you create new LLCs, you can rinse and repeat. Guys, you don't even have to go to people to raise money. They've already raised money with countries, right? You can go to other countries and just rinse and repeat. You can go, for these companies that are giving out through NGOs, as we call them over here, that give out money for different things, you can just rinse and repeat. They can go back to any government in Europe where they're burning through cash over there like there's no tomorrow, and do the same things, make the same business proposition. Hell, you can still use the same games, call it something different. Right? These are all the opportunities that you're creating by creating a new business entity. Right? The big miss here for these guys, in my opinion, in my professional opinion, is you should have done this when Tommy left. When Tommy left is when you should have done this. You know, if they would have asked me, if they would have brought me in as a consultant, right, and give me the 6 figures that I deserve, right, I could have cleaned this up for them back then. I would have said, okay, look, you're going to sell this company to Company X that we're going to set up, and it's going to be, I don't know, Mexico, Argentina, right? Let's go with Argentina. And you're going to sell to Argentine owners. Well, that corporation down there, which is anonymous, which has variable capital, is owned by the people of Amico up here in the U.S. or, you know, all the other owners that we're talking about, all the other investors. Or you could do it in another country where they have the same type of financial tools, where the owners could be anonymous, right? And then you bring the product back here with the new branding. Now, nobody knows who the real owners are. You can put anybody as the face of the company, right? And you move forward. You can't do it here because John Alvarado is so entrenched with his brand now that you just know it's the same people. They're just trying to do a different way. I mean, if you're an original investor, you know, I'm sorry, I'm making you feel like an idiot, but this is what you do, right? This is how you completely forget all those responsibilities. This has to do with timing, right? Because nobody's going to get their money back now, not even refunds. You don't have to do jack squat, right? They could be internally, yeah, we'll give you some refunds. We'll give you some new Happy Home games if you want, right, for your pre-order, right? I'm not going to do it. I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to ask for my pre-order money back for the 2 consoles. You know why? Because then I could say that I got scammed. I can always say that, and I don't have to worry about it, right? Because I wasn't delivered the product that I was promised, right? I don't have to worry, you know, to be in the position of Carl Jobs, right? But with this thing, let me tell you, this is the reason you do this. This is one of the professional reasons you would do this. One of the business reasons you would do this is to raise capital. Now, they might disagree. They're going to say, no, of course not. And you know what? Any bean counter, any consultant, you know, worth their salt, would tell them some of the same things I'm telling you here. Now, they might sound slimy, whatever, but I mean, that's what I get paid for. I get paid for solutions, right, to really bad problems. People that are making, you know, hand over fist money are never going to call, especially somebody like me. They call me when you got problems, right? You got problems, I'm your guy, right? If you're doing hunky-dory, hey, go ahead and sip champagne, go to Vegas, do everything that you want. But if you're trying to save a business, right, if you're buying a business like this, 10 cents on the dollar, you rebrand, you change the faces, and you move forward, and you try raising capital from that. That's what's going to happen here eventually, unless they're idiots, unless, you know, this is, you know, the only other solution here would be that John Alvarado is going to get all these brands as payment for his work, but I don't see people releasing their interest that quickly, right? So the only thing that I could think of that would make any sort of sense is rebranding, killing anything that has to do with Amico in order to move forward, show some progress, show some sales, right, with the strongest brands that you have left, that you have access to with this new entity, and then raise money off of that. The one thing with the Amico, people always ask me, why didn't these people, you know, try to sue? And from everything that I saw, right, from all the feedback that was getting back in the day for people who were actual investors that were losing money, they would do it again for Tommy. I mean, that's just it, right? If you're an admirer of somebody, you know, so much that you're willing to give them your money, even if it doesn't work out, you're not going to go convince those people otherwise. They're not. A lot of these people are not sorry, right? They're not regretful that they gave, you know, $500, you know, whatever it was. Remember, most of these donations were less than $1,000. So they're able to rationalize it that way. I wanted the Amico to happen. I wanted Tommy to succeed. It didn't succeed. Oh well, it's gonna be tax write-off. I mean, that's just what it is, right? And they would do it again. Would they invest in this without Tommy being involved? Of course not. Tommy was the catalyst, right, for it. But you could raise private funds. You could, crowdfund. I don't know who would give money to this enterprise, right? But private investments, yes. That would be the reason, the main reason for doing this. On top of the Amico brand is just trash. Nobody wants to buy the games. Nobody wants to do anything with that, right? Happy Home Games has that feeling of safety, right? You could, start promoting, in family-friendly settings. But it seems to me they just want to sell software, right? And raise capital. That's the reason you do this. At least that's my professional opinion. All right, humans, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.